So I thought that I might be a little bit of an abnormal presentation for you until I saw Mr. Rogers. So I feel like I'm going to fit in just really, really well. And normally I talk in front of a group of HR people that do more of the benefit stuff. And I know I have a lot of IT people in the room. So I thought I would start my presentation just for you. Have you ever felt so stressed that you just wanted to do this? Or some version. For me, it's a hammer, right? That's what I prefer. Or for Scott, this one's for you. Because after a night or two or three of not a lot of sleep, you might look like this, right? Or perhaps that crick in your neck from bending over those computers all day, or the ache in your back is keeping you from being the most productive that you could be at work. And then there's always Mary, who brings in those moho monkey donuts. For those of you in St. Paul, you know what I'm talking about. And you know you really should be making a better choice, but it's just too tempting, even if you do have a few pounds to lose. And then finally, you might know someone in your organization like this that's been shamed and has to be outside, even when it's 0 degrees outside, because that little piece of paper filled with a bunch of poisonous dead leaves is controlling your life. Yeah. And maybe you're just stuck. Maybe you know all this stuff. You need more sleep. You would wish you were out of pain. You wish you were 20 pounds lighter, but you're just stuck. You can't find the motivation to get up and do these things. You can't avoid the procrastination. I don't know. Some of us on any given day fall into any of these categories. So conscious napping helps organizations deal with these 5 greatest areas of organizational cost. The CDC, the NIH estimate that about 16% of every organization is filled with people who have chronic pain. And it costs that organization around $4,500 per employee per year. Other organizations will have 20% of the people that can't sleep at night. This is a growing problem, and it costs organizations about $2,000 per employee. When we look at stress, personally, every person in this room falls into that category, but about 65% of the people are so stressed that they can't really do their job very well. And it costs organizations around $700 per employee. Doesn't sound a lot per employee, but if 65% of your organization is costing you that money, that's a pretty big hit to your bottom line. And then we look at weight. 71% of people in an organization are considered obese or morbidly obese. 71%. And this $4,000 roughly is over and above the cost that your average worker costs you that's maybe only 20 pounds overweight. A huge area of cost. And then we have our smokers. And there are less and less, but it's still about 16% of the organization that costs us $5,800 per employee per year. And we see how these 5 areas alone are really impacting our bottom line. So why conscious napping? What is it? Conscious napping is guided visualization. It helps you go into this state where you're highly focused and aware, and you're open to new thoughts and ideas about how you might want to accomplish your goals. Rather than having your mind full, like all of us have, it makes you more mindful, more focused, able to do your job better because you do have that focus. It helps you unlock your potential for performance and productivity. We like to think, and you guys are all IT people for the most part, you're into the analytical side of everything in your day-to-day. We think that our conscious mind is the strongest thing. I mean, that's where we make all of our decisions. That's where we have our logic and our analysis kind of brain. But would it surprise you to know that it's only less than 10% of your brain's computing power? Less than 10%. What's above the iceberg that we see every day isn't the most powerful part of our mind. It's what's below the iceberg that drives everything. because your subconscious mind is home to your imagination, to your values, to your beliefs, your rules about life, to your emotion. This is what we want in comparison to the should of our conscious mind. And emotion drives everything. It drives all of our behavior. So our conscious mind gets us through the day, but our subconscious mind is where our real power is. And when we conscious nap, we can tap into that. Raise your hand if you have ever driven anywhere and didn't remember getting from point A to point B. Anybody? Yeah, everybody in this room that drives. You were checking out. Your conscious mind needed a little mini vacation. And it took it. But how did you get there? Your subconscious mind drove that car. It automates everything that we do on a regular basis. And if the conscious mind needed to be re-engaged, it would have just like that. But it is our subconscious mind that drives everything that we do. We like to think that we base all of our decisions on analysis, but that's not true. We just use our logic to confirm the emotional behavior that we're expressing. So,
would you say that again? Because that is really like the heart and soul of this whole thing.
It is. Emotion drives all behavior. All behavior. We only confirm it with logic. And we're really, really good at this because our conscious mind has to have a reason for everything or we go crazy. How many times have you thought, man, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I said that. And we agonize, and we take a little piece of truth that we can come up with, and we use that as our basis for forming that reason. Because if we don't, we go insane. That's just the bottom line. So when we conscious nap, we let your conscious mind take that little rest. Did you know that on your best A game day, you can do plus or minus 5 things at once? That's it. So on your A game day, we're looking at 7 things. After that, quality immediately erodes. Things fall through the cracks. You get overwhelmed. So when you learn how to tap in to that piece below the iceberg, oh my gosh, you've hit the mother lode. And that's what conscious napping does. Conscious napping is different than a lot of things because it focuses on the mental and emotional perspectives of those earlier issues, those 5 areas that affect our bodies. So it's very different than a lot of other programs that typically your company would offer employees. We take science and blend it with art. So we're using the latest in brain neuroplasticity research, and we're combining it with guided visualization and mindfulness. And science shows us that when we engage our imagination, and where is that? That's in our subconscious mind. When we engage our imagination, the brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what we vividly imagine. And there are hundreds of experiments that show us that. For example, neuroscientists brought a bunch of people together, and they divided the room in half, and they said, okay, group A, we want you to exercise your finger like this for 10 minutes a day for 30 days. So they measured their finger strength, and they sent them off to do it. Group B, we want you to hold your finger up, and we want you to close your eyes, and we want you to imagine moving your finger like this for 10 minutes every day, with someone in the background yelling, harder, harder, like a personal trainer. So the groups came back 30 days later, the scientists measured all their finger strength, and guess what? The group that had actually done this for 10 minutes a day had increased strength of 30%. The group that had only imagined it had increased strength of 22%. And they never moved their finger. This is why every world-class athlete uses guided visualization. When those people were imagining moving their finger, their brain said, oh, they're moving their finger. It sends an impulse down the arm to the finger, and it stimulates that muscle. It's not as good as doing the real thing, but darn, 22% is pretty good for not moving it. So that is what we do when we conscious nap. So what I'd like to do is have you experience that. So if you would, you don't have to, but I highly encourage it. Put your feet flat on the floor and sit back in your chair and relax. And close your eyes. And all you have to do is just listen to the story. Just follow the story. Imagine, if you would, that you're in your kitchen and you're standing across the room from your refrigerator. You start to walk to the refrigerator, maybe you're barefoot, and you feel the floor on the bottom of your feet. Maybe you have shoes on and you hear the sound that your shoes make on the floor. You get to the refrigerator and you reach out and you open the door. You feel the slight tug of the vacuum. Perhaps you notice the cool air on your face, on your body. And you look around in your refrigerator and everything is exactly where you would expect it would be. There's the eggs, the butter dish, jug of water, the ketchup is in the door. And right in front of you is a big yellow lemon, beautiful, bright yellow. You reach in and you pick up that lemon. Perhaps you feel the weight of it in your hand, the coolness from being in the cold refrigerator. And you notice that bright yellow color, and you walk it over to the place in your kitchen where you'd normally cut your fruits and your vegetables. Maybe you take a knife out of the drawer, out of the knife block on the counter, and you cut that lemon in half, and when you do, you watch the juices flow out onto the counter. You smell that fresh lemony scent. And you cut that half again. Put the knife down, and you pick up one of those lemon wedges that you just cut. You slowly bring it to your mouth, part your lips, and you take a bite of that big lemon, and you swallow the juices. You put the lemon wedge back down on the counter, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Come back into this room. Now, raise your hand if you salivated or you tasted the lemon. Wow, that's big, yeah. How many of you could hear something? Anybody? Raise your hand if you heard something. How many of you could see your kitchen or in your refrigerator, the ketchup in the drawer? Yeah. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. All you were doing was listening to a story. But you experienced physical changes in your body. Some of you actually salivated. I saw some people just grimacing like, I don't want to do that. Your brain can't tell the difference. So that's the power. And here's the other takeaway. Your thoughts become things. So you better choose them wisely. So conscious napping is online. So I'm here with all you tech people because that's how you relate. It's bilingual. It's in English and in Spanish. And we have programs for all of these things and more. You can listen online, you can download it to your phone, to your tablet, share it with your friends and family, and it's complementary to programs that your HR department may already offer. Why is it complementary? Well, I'll use myself as an example. I have a few pounds to lose. I've lost 40, but I have a long way to go. I'm not really comfortable going into that exercise class that my company offers, being with my peers and perhaps my boss, when I can't get up and down off the floor like everybody else. And that leads us to, why don't people use the benefits that companies offer? Well, HealthMind did a study about 3 years ago, and 27% of the people said, I don't have time. I don't have time to do all that stuff. So here's the wonderful thing about conscious napping. You can conscious nap for 2 minutes a day. You can conscious nap for 25 minutes a day. But the average program, the average module you listen to is about 10 minutes. It feels good. People want to do it. So we just blow that exercise out apart. 24 to 25% say inconvenient time, inconvenient location. We take away that excuse too, because you can listen anytime, any place, anywhere. It's on your phone. When I was looking at the crowd when I came in here, every single person in this room at one point or another was on their phone. So we blow that one out of the water. 17%, 17% say, I didn't even know that program existed. Well, you know what? If you've got that on your list of benefits and you see conscious napping, the name itself invokes curiosity, doesn't it? We have beautiful materials for your employees, amazing materials for your employees, from digital to postcard to brochure to that beautiful fold out. We want your employees to notice this. We want to engage them in this program. 14% say I'm concerned about privacy. Conscious napping is totally encrypted. It goes to the mailbox every day, but the boss doesn't know who's participating. They know that you are participating, but they don't know who you are. And privacy extends not only if you're not sleeping well, you don't want your boss to know if you're running that $50 million piece of equipment, right? Because you're afraid you might lose your job. So these things are really, really important, and we go through great lengths to keep this HIPAA compliant, but we also give the employer information that they need. And this is important. They'll be able to see who's listening in English and Spanish, what are the demographics of the people using it, and because each participant takes a survey at the beginning and at the end, we have feedback on how well they're doing. And they can leave comments. This was amazing, or this sucked. Whatever they want to say, we're going to take it. So we get that data that will also help you learn more about your employees, because it's really interesting how companies will say, wow, we need to do more lunch and learns on sleep because 25% of our people are enrolled in that sleep program. We had not a clue. So you're going to get valuable information about your employee data. So conscious napping is going to help organizations reduce costs. It's going to increase productivity. It's going to improve retention. It's going to help engage your employees and to build that loyalty that in this interesting job market that we have, it's hard to find good people, right, and keep them. So companies can experience a greater return on their most important investment, and that's their employees. And all of you, at one time or another, fall into those categories. Think about your coworkers and how they are. Conscious napping can help them address that and more. If you need to be more creative, if you need to brainstorm ideas, when you tap in to that subconscious part of your mind, you are indeed tapping into where your true potential is, your imagination, and those emotions that are driving all of those beliefs. So I'm going to open it up for any questions. How did you like your conscious napping experience?
Roberta, I meant to introduce you a little bit better than I did, which is,
okay.
you notice Roberta's on the agenda in the ink spot. When we first were designing this a couple, 3 months ago, I had her in as a bite, a B-Y-T-E. A bite is a segment where we learn something that we don't know about. But as Roberta and I talked, it became clear to me that this is not just a story of psychological assessment, but Roberta sells a product. This is a product, and do you sell to individuals, or do you sell to companies, or both?
Individuals can buy the program. That's the most expensive way. I'll just take an average size company. That's not average size, but a company of 1,000 people for $24 an employee per year. You can have all the programs, all the information.
$24 per employee per year.
Very inexpensive. The larger you are, the cheaper it gets. So I think the most, even the smallest company, would cost $48 per employee per year for all these programs.